What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So it's that time of week again where we are talking Dexter Resurrection. Episode 5 dropped a couple days ago, so it is time for our summary and review of the episode, scored out of 5. Also, we're going to then give a score to the overall series as where it stands. So we're just going to jump right into it. No need to go over any previous summaries of the last 4 episodes. I imagine you are fully caught up on those episodes. If not, and you're waiting for the entire series to run its course, then I'm going to prepare you now. Spoilers. We talk spoilers in this series. We're going to talk spoilers for this particular video. So if you haven't seen Dexter Resurrection at all, or if you haven't seen episode 5 as of yet, I'd recommend pausing, stopping the video, go watch it, come back, drop a comment in the comment section, and let us know what you think and if you agreed with my thoughts. So I'm going to say, and so right now, right off the bat, we're going right into spoilers. So verbal warning, spoilers, spoiler alert, spoiler warning. You now see below me a spoiler icon, so you have been fairly warned. Spoilers. So let's get into it. I'm going to keep this one really short. I know I say that a lot, and sometimes we start to get into the weeds, but this one's going to be short because I think, in my opinion, by far, this episode was the worst of the series. I said this when we were doing episode 4, the review, that finally episode 4 felt like Dexter. It felt like a Dexter episode. It felt like the original series Dexter, that the early years of the original series. And I had said I hope they just keep ramping it up. Pick up the pace, keep it going. Don't give me a filler episode. Don't give me a filler episode. What did they do? In my opinion, I feel this was 100% a filler episode. A complete waste of an episode, in my opinion. There were some, I won't even want to say high points. There were some mid points, and those were and I think there was maybe 1-2 tops, and those were the best of the episode. Were just the mid-level ones. Other than that, this was overall, again, by far the worst episode, in my opinion. I'm giving this episode, actually, I'll save my score. I'll save my score so you understand why I think it's the worst. So, this episode picks up where the last one ends. Harrison's outside the police station. He's getting ready to go in, turn himself in for the murder at the hotel. Dexter's right there, says his name, they turn around, they meet. So that's where this one picks up. Harrison can't believe Dexter's alive, doesn't understand how he's alive, but Dexter manages to get him away from the police station, takes him back to his apartment. They have a brief conversation where, again, Dexter explains how he survived. It was the cold weather, slowed his heart rate down, kept him from bleeding out. And they have probably a good, I want to say almost 10-minute conversation. This whole sequence from the time at the police station to the time of getting to the Dexter's apartment, having the conversation, this was roughly about anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes long. So this was a good portion of the beginning of the episode. Again, almost 10 minutes of the episode, considering the episode is only roughly 58 some minutes. So they have a brief back and forth. Harrison explains how the killing, and Dexter told him, I knew, when he asked him, how'd you find me? And Dexter said, it was the murder at the hotel. I knew it was you, the 9 dismembered into 9 parts, the trash bags. And, Dexter's just trying to find a connection. He's trying to say, hey, I'll help you work through this. And Harrison doesn't want that. Harrison says how he continues to see this, kind of like nightmares and things. He just can't get past it. And this is where we do get a brief callback to Original Sin, and we do get a scene from Original Sin when Dexter's describing to him where when he was at the party, there was Deb was almost taken advantage of, almost SA'd, and Dexter did something about it and almost killed the guy had Deb not have stopped him. So they are fully now connecting Resurrection to Original Sin, and not just from a story perspective, but literally taking scenes from Original Sin and using it as flashbacks. So I thought that was an okay touch. That was good to see. So we now continue on. We do now spend a little bit of time with Peter Dinklage's character. He's being interviewed on being like this, great success, how he's taking care of all these foster kids and, so on and so forth. Right now, everyone's just like kind of like oogling over him because he's supposedly this great person, which no one really knows that he's having, dinners with serial killers and he's got this massive trophy room down in the basement. So we have a little bit about that. He's going to be doing this TV interview. So they're setting up for that. We jump back now to Harrison, who again is just having this struggle in dealing with what's going on. That is now his dad's alive, doesn't know how to handle that, and then that's just very brief. This episode jumps around a lot because now we jump over to Maya, where Dexter, if you did see episode 4, Dexter had started forming this connection with Maya. When they met at the dinner party, he's thinking she's going to be different. He's thinking, I'm a serial killer, she's a serial killer. Maybe there's a connection there, right? So we did see a brief moment where something was about to happen with them in episode 4. It didn't. Dexter got cold feet and bailed. Now he's reaching out to her again in this episode, wanting to get together. He wants to take her to, I think it was like a musical or ballet or something. I honestly can't remember because, again, this episode was so bad in my opinion. She's like, no, let's go bowling. So this is where then we get that kind of that callback, right? Where we see Dexter bowling again. So they start, you start to see where he's thinking, I can have this connection. So they start to open up a bit. And this is where Dexter starts to either realize something is off or starts to realize, is this too good to be true? Right. So they have this, what he still believes is this connection, but he's starting to question things. We now do a jump where Harrison had previously, again, he was outside the police station. If you remember, before he went to the police station last episode, he had called the detective and hung up. Well, she obviously called him back and said, hey, you called me. And now she wants to meet with him. So what's he do? He goes back to the police station to meet with her. So they have this brief conversation. Again, she's thinking he's got some involvement. Obviously, Harrison's not going to say, hey, I did it, right? Again, brief conversation, probably 2 or 3 minutes. Didn't amount to really anything. It was almost as if the scene didn't need to be there. We're now jumping back to Prouder or Prater, or however you pronounce his name. It's the character Peter Dinklage plays. We're seeing the interview happen, and he's he's giving this TV interview. Again, they're just oogling over him because he's this multi-millionaire, supposedly doing all these great things for humanity and for these foster kids and these foster homes, because that's where apparently he grew up when his parents died, and that's it. It's like, okay, well, why didn't we just see this along with the original scene, 10 minutes prior when they were preparing for the interview? Why did we have to jump to 2 other sub stories before we got to that? So now we're pretty much to the next. Now we're doing kind of like a time jump where we're to the next day now. Maya and Dexter meet up again, have a brief conversation. And now this is where Harry pops back up. He's like, Dexter, what are you doing? She's a serial killer. Why are you trying to have this connection, right? And we know how those scenes go, right? Dexter hasn't been listening to Harry for quite some time and doesn't listen to Harry even in this point. Now we see a brief moment where Dexter has an interaction with his upstairs neighbors, his landlords, where the mother has a fall outside on the stoop. Dexter helps her up inside, and they have there's another brief conversation between the two of them where he finds out she has cancer, and we hear a little bit of a talk over where she doesn't want to do any more treatment. She just wants to live the rest of her life, live it in her home, live it with her family. And Dexter's kind of taking this in and realizing he wants to have that connection further with Harrison, and it needs to figure out how he can help Harrison get out from underneath this murder that the cops are coming down on him for. So again, we kind of move forward a little bit into the story. Dexter now gets a delivery, and now he gets a new set of blood slides, like the box with all the little glass slides in it, to start up his new collection of trophies. We see him take the trophy he used from when he killed Neil Patrick Harris, the tattoo collector, I think his serial killer name was. from the previous episode, puts it in the box, and then finds a new hiding place for it in the apartment he's in. Tries connecting with Harrison, getting over the phone, but Harrison wants nothing to do with him, tells him to leave him alone. And again, Dexter's struggling with this. So now he goes on a date with Maya. And again, thinks there's a connection there. But this is where Maya comes out and pretty much tells him, yeah, I don't kill people who commit SA on other women. I pretty much kill for the fun of it. That's pretty much what I do. I'm not necessarily killing all bad guys or other bad guys. I'm just killing to kill. And then this is where Dexter realizes, damn, yeah, this isn't going to work out. She wants to now all of a sudden go out and do a spontaneous kill. Wants Dexter to do a spontaneous kill. And keeping in mind, they don't even know Dexter, they think Dexter's still Red, that he's completely somebody else, a different serial killer. So as he goes to get what he told her, his kill kit, and he goes to get his M99 while she pays the tab. They're outside, and she's really being forceful, like, hey, we need to find a ride share, we need to get into somebody's car. And she just walks up to a car and starts to get into it. He stops her from doing it. And not that he obviously has Cole's feet, but then he doesn't just want to randomly kill somebody, because he wants to try to kill her now, because he's just trying to take out all these serial killers. She's like, you know what, forget this. I thought you were different. I need to go find somebody to kill. And that's what she does. We follow her to a bar where she picks somebody, gets the individual drunk, takes him back to her apartment and to do so. But before we see that happen, Dexter breaks into her apartment and starts, looking around, make sure the curtains are open. So he's on a top of a building across like the street, so to speak, looking in, so he can see when she shows back up home, when she's getting ready to start doing it. So she brings this drunk guy home. They're going down this path that she gets him tied up, gagged, and is getting ready to take him out. Dexter calls the police from across the street on top of the building, saying, hey, Lady Vengeance is getting ready to kill somebody. Here's the address. And then the police break in, and then they arrest her. Now, if you remember in the previous episode, we saw the little like ballerina music box on her table. This is where she was keeping all the trophies for all of her kills, and Dexter knew that. So as we're watching from the across the street where Dexter is into the window, and then we go into the apartment, the detective that has been pressing Harrison for the murder at the hotel, well, guess what? Guess what they find in that trophy box? The watch. The watch that the guy gave to Harrison to fix, and Harrison had that watch because at the beginning of this episode, Harrison expressed to Dexter that this watch just keeps ticking and ticking out. It's all I can hear. Well, Dexter took the watch from him, and this is where Dexter utilized the fact that Maya, or Lady Vengeance, where she kept her trophies, he then took the watch and put it there. So when the police found the box, they now believe, well, Lady Vengeance, who we know kills men who commit SA, we believe that the guy at the hotel was killed because he was about to commit SA based on the testimony of the woman who was almost SA'd. But the detective's not fully believing it. She's not fully bought in. So now she wants to talk to Maya about it, but we don't see that play out here. All we see is her talking about it. So now we're back to Peter Dinklage at his mansion, eating his meal, and his head of security, who's played by Uma Thurman, walks in. It's like, hey, we have a problem. Maya was arrested, and Peter is like not even giving her the time of day. He's just like, I thought I hired you to handle problems. Are you going to handle this or not? Pretty much, if you don't handle it, you're dead. So she makes her way somehow into the prison. But before she does, we get probably a 15-second look at Batista staying at a hotel. The news report pops up on the TV where the police are saying, we've caught the person who killed the individual at the hotel, Lady Vengeance, and he can't believe it because he clearly thought it was Harrison or Dexter. Harrison then finds out from his friend at the hotel, the girl that he was, has a crush on. He then immediately shows up to Dexter's apartment saying, what did you do? And Dexter's like, I'm just trying to help you. So they have this another conversation where you see they try to have that more of a bonding moment where Harrison realizes Dexter is there trying to help him. So we might see, I think we're going to obviously see this play out a bit more where Harrison now realizes he can't either do this alone or wants to have some sort of connection with Dexter. And that's where that ends. The episode's coming to a conclusion where Uma Thurman shows up at the prison. Somehow she gets in to see Maya. And Maya's like, listen, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to pressure you guys for any money, or, I'll keep my mouth shut. And she tells her, Prouder's going to make sure you are as comfortable as you possibly can be in here, so on and so forth. And the episode ends. That's it. That's the episode. And again, absolute, in my opinion, trash episode. Absolute trash episode. Complete filler. I don't feel the only thing that were mid-level to me was the planting of the watch to try to throw the detective off the scent of Harrison being the murderer, and the fact that Maya got caught. And now how's that going to play out? Will she in fact keep her mouth shut, or will she eventually turn and say, hey, Prouder, this multi-millionaire, do-gooder is in fact, supporting serial killers, and he's got a huge trophy room. You might want to go have a chat with him. And we did see a point where Dexter almost was going to kill Maya, but then he realized, and we hear this in a talk over, that, oh, well, I just killed, the tattoo collector yesterday. I can't necessarily kill her. I can't kill Lady Vengeance today because, it's going to start looking bad if all of a sudden everyone that was at the dinner is now starting to die within a couple of days. Yeah, that's obvious. Captain Obvious there. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was just a bunch of talk. Nothing to amount to anything. I think this episode could have been far more than what it was. I'd give this one a 1.5. It was again, I don't think this was a great episode, a good episode, a decent episode. It was bad in my opinion. And I will stand 10 toes down on that. I will die on that hill that this was not a good episode. It was a 100% filler episode. So, all right, that's going to do it, guys. That's pretty much it. I don't have any much more to say about that. I mean, I could stand on my soapbox for the next 10, 15 minutes on this, but I'm not going to. So, overall, I think this, in my opinion, this episode hurts the series. This episode hurt the momentum that was building up, where we started seeing that we saw in episode 4. They could have continued that momentum up, and they didn't. They decided to literally be like, no, we're just going to give you this basic episode because everyone was out to lunch, and we allowed the intern to write this episode and to have something on his resume, and this is what you get, right? So 1.5, no more than 1.5 for this episode. Overall for the series, to me, this dropped it down to like a 3.5. For me, I was at a 4. Previously, I was hoping we were going to continue to go up and up with the series, but this really took a hit for me, downward spiral. So 1.5 for the episode, 3.5 overall for the series. I think we got I think they're doing 10 episodes here, so they got 5 more to do to turn it around and start ramping it back up. Because if we get more episodes like this, I don't know what everyone else is watching and saying this is such a great thing, but to me it wasn't. So anyways, that's going to do it for this latest update and review of Dexter Resurrection episode 5. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Again, if you don't agree, hey, I'm happy to hear. If you don't agree, let me know what you thought. If you think it was, if you scored it higher, if you thought it was a better episode, or if you agree with me, or if you thought it was worse than what I described. Again, let me know down in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.